Name's Rachel McLeod, licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. And today I'm talking about the top 3 traits of people who successfully resolve their symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, and or emotional eating. And that's a long list, right? And I really could have, I held myself back from adding more, but I think those things will really cover it and can really give us a good start, and so many more, because you know what, the roots of these things are all the same. That's why I confidently go after these things, and why I confidently feel like, hey, and communicate over and over again, you can resolve these, because this is what I've made my practice and study on. And really, when you get underneath and you go and you find the root of these, the root is the same for all of these. And so that's really why I could have made a long list, but that's really the gist of it, right? And so let's dive in. I want to also tell you that I want you to know these 3 traits, because I think it's important for you to have them outlined yourself, because these are things that you can build if you don't yet have them. And if you already have them, you're going to start noticing them, and you're going to start relying on them more and more and more. And these are the 3 requirements of anybody that all my clients, because I know that this is the 3 traits that will help people succeed. And I don't want to sound like a snob, but I know if people are going to do the work or not, if people are going to get results or not, based on these 3 traits. And so I want them to grow in you, because regardless of your path and how you heal, these are the things you need. Okay? So let's start off at the top. And the very first trait that someone needs is to be decisive. This is really so powerful. And some people are like, oh no, I'm already out. Like, I'm the least decisive person ever. Yes, I know. That's one of the symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, right? Is being indecisive. But let me tell you what, sometimes if you kind of move all of that over, you really can find some great decisiveness. And really what the decisiveness piece really comes down to is if you've decided to heal. And when people decide to heal, that's powerful things begin to happen. And when they make the decision that, like, I'm not just going to keep coping with this, I'm going to solve this at the root, I'm doing this. You know, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I always have a sense of, I don't always know what I'm looking for, but I always have a sense of, like, when I see it, I will know. And I do, when I do see it and I do know it, I decide right then, that's it, that's what I'm looking for right there. And, you know, and then being decisive about it, right? I'm having that. I've made a decision right now. I'm healing. I am, you know, and this is important because we're surrounded in our country right now, because our country is our mindset about anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, emotional eating, addiction stuff is really set on, you're just going to have to cope with these symptoms. Yeah, I know you're having panic attacks, but you're just going to have to learn how to deal with that. Hey, let me put whole interventions together to teach you how to suffer well when you have these things. And I think that's ridiculous. And I'm speaking right now, I'm going to take off the therapist hat. I'm speaking of someone who has battled and fought and wrestled with mental illness and won. I did not want to cope. I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And let me tell you what, while I'm on this topic, there are people doing the impossible all the time. Let me tell you who's going to be one of them. Rachel McLeod. You're going to find me doing the impossible because I believe it's possible. And when I was feeling this, thank goodness I did not. I had a client today that told me that she was supporting one of her friends. She's doing amazing person. She's a teenager and she is phenomenal. Really doing a wonderful job. She's moving her depression into remission like fast. And I just sat back today and I was like, tell me when your book comes out, send me the link. But she was with a therapist and she's trying to get her friend into therapy. And this therapist told her, yeah, because she said she wants to work with somebody who's going to help her heal and help her move these symptoms into remission. And the therapist was like, yeah, people with anxiety will always have anxiety. We just need to learn how to cope. And okay, now that there is some truth in that, right? Anxiety is a human emotion, but when we're talking like show-stopping, drop to your knees, you are absolutely just defunctionalized. Words aren't coming to me greatly at the moment because I'm getting a little overly heated over here. You know, when that stuff is coming, that's not right. That's not what we were created for. That is not the brain function that is optimal, nor do we have to live like this. But this therapist was, I mean, I sat in my chair like, and she was like, I know, right? So, you know, there are not a lot of people that believe that this can be moved into remission, that we do not have to suffer. We do not know need to learn how to suffer gracefully. Okay, maybe that's a thing. I don't know, but that's not what I'm shooting for, right? But when I was suffering, when I was in the heat of mine, I was like, this has to stop. I've got kids to raise. I've got these. I can't live like this. No. And really from that moment, I set out the intention, I want to heal. I want to stop this. I want to make this stop. And all of a sudden showed up my first intervention that turned off symptoms. The first thing, I was a little skeptical because I was like, but the first thing, this woman said, try this, it will change your life. And so I was like, okay. And she had already done some really weird energetic stuff with my kid that helped him. It was the first person that had ever helped him. And I still to this day, I don't even know what she did to my kid. But it worked. And so she said this, so my mind was already blown. And so she said, do it. I did it. I used it on my insomnia. I could not sleep because I was like, I need to go to sleep right now. One of my kids is going to wake up. I had 3 children under 3 years old. And I was so incredibly anxious. And that's the first thing I tried on. I used 1 round of it and I yawned, and another round, I fell right to sleep. And that was the first time I had slept for a while. And I woke up the next morning. I was like, what else can I try this on? And I just went nuts. So, but if I had not just made that decision to heal, I don't know if I would have seen the opportunities that were coming around me all the time to heal. You know, and as I study and I look at my clients that are the most successful and the ones that have moved their anxiety disorders or depression or trauma disorders into remission or resolved their emotional eating challenges, then those are the ones that decided, like they were like, this is happening. It's going down. I don't know how. And I want you to know, you can be entirely confused and decisive. You can be terrified and decisive. You can be poor and decisive. You can be rich and decisive. You can be scattered, overworked, emotionally maxed out, terrified, and still be decisive, right? And I don't know what combination that is for you, but find it. Keep twisting all those little knobs till you come up with a winning combination that has you being decisive, okay? So important. And decide to heal, decide to get this stuff at the root. Don't just decide to cope. We have made so many advancements. Go for the gusto, okay? The second trait of the people that I have experienced that successfully move their anxiety, depression, trauma, and emotional eating challenges into remission are people who are committed. There is no way to shake this. You have to commit. This is not a dance for the halfsies. This is not a halfsies dance where I'm going to do half of it and then we'll leave it good. No, like I have seen that cause more problems and really set people back. I was going to say years, but that would be a lie. A year, right? Because eventually the one person that I'm talking about specifically, Anyway, because there's other people that I have that in therapy, they'll just vanish because they got some results and they're happy now. But eventually some of them come back, but some of them haven't come back, right? One of them that I was going to speak to really had a huge flare up because they thought they were better than they were. They didn't finish, right? And really be committed to do all of it. When you find the right solution, go all in, be wholeheartedly committed. That is where you get the biggest transformation. That's where you get the biggest win. But that is where the biggest risk is. And this terrifies people because what if I fail? Right? And let me just say right now, so what? You're going to fail. You're going to fail over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's part of mastery. It's part of mastering skills is failure. And so failure is a wonderful thing. It's wonderful. And I know I've worked with enough of you humans in the world to be, I know some of you are like, what are you saying, Rachel? Stop. I can never fail. And yeah, but if you can't fail, you can't succeed, right? And when you're committed regardless of the failures. You're committed regardless of if you have enough time. If you're committed, you will find the time. If you're committed, there's not one excuse that's going to block you from getting where you want to go. And there's so many stories of this, so many stories, people doing heroic, amazing, transformational, wonderful things just on commitment alone. And you're going to need that. You're going to need to be committed to this. This is not a time for dabbling. In dabbling, you can get mixed results, right? In dabbling, and guess what? This work is so awesome because it doesn't take long. Okay, maybe if you've got complex childhood trauma, maybe if you go all in for a year, you're going to transform the mess out of yourself. I mean, that mess, right? So we're going to transform the mess out, bring in the good, the vibrant, the well, right? We're going to bring all that stuff in. And that's not a long time. I work with some people that really, it just takes them 8 weeks. By the end of the 8 weeks, they're like, twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. What are we doing now, Rachel? I'm like, back to work. We'll find something. And then there's other people that it's like 3 months or 6 months, as long as you're willing to do the work, you can get through this quickly. If you're the more wholehearted you are, the more transformation you're going to get. So let me see if there's and I want to also say with being committed, you can be terrified and committed. You can be happy and committed. You can be a failure and be committed. You can be, which that's not a thing. Nobody's a failure, right? You can be worried and committed. You can be, let's see. You can be anything and be committed. You get my point, is that commitment is not about feeling awesome all of the time, right? You're committed when you, I just had a new thought, but you're committed when you're messing up. You're committed when you get thrown, right? You just get back up, dust yourself off and say, okay, let's go. I'm committed to this. And that's really what happens. And if you are getting drug around by your goal and this happens to the best of us, and you're still hanging on, you're committed, right? I right now am I have committed to a goal of waking up every morning at 5 a.m. I thought this was the stupidest thing. There's somebody in this program that I'm doing is doing it, and I think she's awesome. But I was like, no, we're not doing that. And then I saw somebody else doing it, and she was going into detail about what was happening. And I was like, I think that's exactly what I've been looking for. And so anyway, same thing, different, different introduction or different whatever. And so I bought in and did it. Okay. Guess what time I woke up this morning? 7:32. That's what time I woke up. And guess what time I woke up yesterday? 6:30 something. Guess who hasn't woken up at 5 a.m. for a long time? That would be me. But I'm committed, and I've done a couple things that I'm really excited about. I'm now in a 5 a.m. club because apparently it's one of those things that you don't want to do alone, and yet you need some motivation because when 5 a.m. rolls around, that's not cute, okay, all the time. So, but the thing is that I'm still committed. There's no difference in my commitment level between when I'm waking up at 5 a.m. and I'm getting my workout on, and when I'm sleeping in at 7:30, there's no change in commitment. What happened is that I've got some obstacles I need to resolve, right? Those things knock me off. And guess what? If I don't solve those problems, they will continue to knock me off. But my commitment level is the same. I'm still in. I'm still all in. So, and you can be like that. If you have thrown off your diet, or you're sitting at home in a state of depression, or if you're avoiding all of your triggers because, your PTSD is flaring all up. If you're, I don't know, if you're struggling, that doesn't mean you're not committed. That doesn't affect your commitment levels. So don't doubt yourself and your commitment just by your behaviors. Don't do that. Don't judge anybody by their behaviors, really. And don't judge yourself by your behaviors. And I know you're hearing me. Don't do it. I know you will, because your brain is wired like that, but commit to resolving that, right? Because that is absolutely something that can totally change, okay? Number 3, the top trait of people who successfully remove their symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, and or emotional eating into oblivion and resolve those are resourceful, right? These are, when we have to be resourceful in our life, that means we don't have it, right? There's something that we need. It's a resource. And we don't have it, but we find a way to get it because we're resourceful. It didn't work like this. Okay, let's try it like this. Okay, it didn't work like that. Let's try it like this. Okay, let's try a little bit of these and that. And it's just it's grit, right? It's that grittiness. It's that I know there's a way. I'm going to find it. And let me tell you, if you've been decisive and you've been committed, there is a way for you, because there is always a way for the committed. Okay, and that's just a truth. If you are committed, the way is like, ooh, she's ready, he's ready, let's go, show him the way. Okay, so now you're at resourceful. And this is something that is a requirement of mine, because when we're working with the brain might like this and it might like that, and it might like this and it might like that. And if it doesn't work, we have to find the next way. Okay, this one worked. It doesn't take a long time, but it does take a decision to be resourceful and that means we're open for looking for solutions. We're open to figuring out what works for us, and we're open to using somebody else's brain. Maybe we're open to using somebody else's strategy. Maybe we're open to using someone else's belief system. I used to do that all the time. Like, that's one of the reasons why I invest in my own coaching and why I put myself in coaching programs, is because I love growing, number 1. But number 2, I'm trying to borrow somebody's brain. That's what I'm trying to do, because there's things like being clean, right? I did not grow up with clean house. Like, I had to seriously study. I had to talk and ask questions to the friends around me that had clean homes. It's like, I had to just listen to what they would say, and they would say things that were really crazy to me, but I'm like, I'm going to think about what they just said. And all of a sudden, I would start to see how their perspective helped me keep a house clean. So I was like, yeah, let's keep that one. Let's get rid of that other one. That doesn't make any more sense. That one makes me have a dirty house, and this one it's a no-brainer. So, but what I saw when I was doing that was that the thoughts that make a clean house, I don't have any of them. So that's why I really started to do that and really go after finding it. And guess what? There are those thoughts that make people, and beliefs and behaviors that help people have clean homes. And those are the people I tried to get close to. I tried to get as close to them as I could. And so that's a practice I have, and I still do that because there's things that I want to do in different areas of my life that is not my specialty. I didn't spend 15 years mastering this and getting people phenomenal results in those areas. And guess what? I want those results, and I will not Google it. I'm not going to spend my time Googling something that takes people 10, 15 years to master. Are you kidding me? No, thank you. I want it now. And people have really done amazing work to get it. And so if we just, if I just climb in their pocket for a little while, I can absorb some of the things, which is why I surround myself with coaches. And so, but that's being resourceful. What I'm talking about is when you get stuck at you get stuck on a project, right? At work or at home, and you're just kind of stuck and you don't know where to go. And you just take a break, you go down, you walk down the aisle to your coworker's office or to your boss's office, and then you say, hey, I'm having this problem. What do you think? And all of a sudden they're talking, but all of a sudden they say this one thing, and all of a sudden you're like, yes, and it all makes sense. You're like, I gotta go. I got it. And you go back to your office and you just put it together really quickly. That's being resourceful. There was something you didn't have, and you went and you found where it was, and you grabbed it up, you recognized it, you grabbed it up, and you made it yours, and you allowed it to carry you to your success, and that's it. That is there for you. And so be resourceful, because if you knew how to be well, If you knew how to end your symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, emotional eating, if you knew how to end that, you would have already. So if you haven't already yet, it's probably because you just don't know how. And so if you don't know how, you better figure that out or find somebody who can, who has figured that out, right? And that's being resourceful. That's when you get the win. That's when you can speed up your victory. That's when you can get yourself free, right? We don't have to come with every bit of knowledge, right? But when we find something that we need, we grab it, right? And hold on to that. And that's being resourceful. So be resourceful. So those are the 3 characteristics or traits of the people that I have noticed are the most successful in this. And this is what I study, right? This is what I want to know. Like, how do we do that? And this is what I practice, and this is what I help people do. So I'm constantly watching this. I'm watching success unfold, and I'm watching people be decisive. I'm watching people like being decisive all the time. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna target that. Okay, I'm gonna work on this, or I'm gonna talk to Rachel about that, or I'm gonna ask my mom this, right? That people have been like, that I don't remember about that. I'm gonna ask my mom, you know. They're being resourceful, right? And so, and you know, that's the deal, is that we all don't have a full picture, right? We don't always get to know all the steps, but if we have those 3 things, if we have being decisive, we have being committed, we have being resourceful, the chances of you succeeding are super duper high. So I really want you to think about those 3 things, because people that do those 2 things, they run over obstacles. They annihilate obstacles. I mean, it's just a matter. In their minds, it's just when. It's not about if. It's just about when it's going to happen. And I'm going to stay on this because it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen. It might happen in a long time. It might happen short, but it's happening. You know. And when you can get there, that's awesome. That's where you need to be. Grow those 3 traits and watch yourself even have them. You're going to, now that I brought them into your awareness, you're going to start seeing yourself doing these things. You're going to, oh, look how committed I am. I celebrate that for you. You celebrate that for you, because the more you pay attention to that, the more you get. That's one of the brain tricks of life, is that whatever you're focusing on, you get more of it. And there's awesome reasons for that, but it's part of how the brain functions. And so you can use that to bring more of your own commitment, your own decisiveness, resourcefulness into your awareness, so that you can use it more, and you can use it more intentionally and really heal and bring in amazing healing to your life. So that's what I want to share. If this is something you want to talk with me about, if you want to talk with me about if I can help you resolve your symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, or emotional eating, if I can help you resolve those things, and you want to see if I can, boy, that was difficult. I invite you to book a call with me by going to rachelmcleod.com/call. And this is a time when I will help you figure out where you're stuck. I definitely want to hear about that and understand that, and then really help you figure out where you want to go, and then help you create a plan to get there. And so that's what I do. That's what I love to do. And so I want to offer that to you. And it is actually me who will call you. Maybe in the future, it will be some, anyway, I don't know. We'll talk about that later. I don't know. But for right now, that's really what I have to offer, and I extend that to you, and would love to talk with you about this, because what's the most important thing out of all of this is that you get your healing. We need you to have your healing. Your children need you to have your healing. Your friends, your partners, your family, they need you to heal. Maybe you're the first one to end the generational trauma that's going on in your family. What you're doing, your healing, is so important. It's like there's such a big ripple effect. I talk about this all the time, but I want you to see it. I mean, people need inspiration more than anything else. They don't need you to do this for them. They don't need you to solve their problem. They need to be inspired and know, hey, it can really happen, right? And when you heal, your entire circle gets this thing. And all kinds of beautiful things happen from that. So that's what I'm sharing with you tonight. And some of you, I will speak with you in the next upcoming days. And that's it for tonight. I don't see any questions, and I didn't ask for any questions, which I'm working on building that habit. But I'll catch you next time. And in the future, if you do have questions, go ahead and pop them in there and I will answer them. Also, if you're watching the recording of this and you have some questions or you want to interact, go ahead and pop that down. I'm looking at this all the time. I will respond, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.